Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony and watched the stars through the main screen. His ship looked like a peaceful vessel from the outside. Clean white hull, diplomatic markings, and no visible weapons. The aliens always felt safe around ships like his. 3 years. 3 long years of playing nice while people died. "Captain, incoming message from Earth Command," said Lieutenant Amy Davis from her station. Her voice stayed calm, but Jake could hear the anger underneath. They all felt it now. "Put it through to my ready room," Jake said. He walked to the small office behind the bridge and closed the door. Admiral Pete Johnson appeared on the screen, his face looking older than last week. "Jake, we just got the casualty report from Kepler 442b. Pete rubbed his forehead. 12,000 civilians. The Zephyrians hit the farming domes while families were sleeping. Jake felt his jaw tighten. Kepler 442b was a quiet world. Farmers, teachers, kids going to school, no military targets, no weapons, just people trying to live their lives. "What did the Alliance say this time?" Jake asked. "Same thing they always say. They will investigate. They express deep concern. They promise to look into preventing future misunderstandings." Pete spat the last word like it tasted bad. Commander Brooks just finished another meeting with them. 2 hours of listening to their lies while she smiled and thanked them for their cooperation. Jake had worked with Lisa Brooks for 5 years. She was the best diplomat Earth had, which meant she was very good at pretending to believe obvious lies. But Jake knew her real thoughts. She wanted to see every Zephyrian ship turned into scrap metal. "How much longer do we keep playing this game?" Jake asked. Pete was quiet for a moment. Then he looked straight at Jake through the screen. "President Thompson is calling an emergency meeting tonight. I think our patience is about to run out." The call ended, and Jake sat alone in his office. He thought about the farmers on Kepler 442b. Good people who trusted Earth to protect them. Earth had failed them, just like Earth had failed the miners on Ross 128, the researchers on Wolf 359, and the families on Gliese 667c. All because Earth wanted to be the good guys. All because they thought being nice would work. Jake walked back to the bridge. His crew looked at him with hope in their eyes. They all knew something was changing. After 3 years of taking hits and smiling, Earth was getting ready to hit back. "Status report," Jake said. "We are 3 hours from the neutral zone meeting point," said Lieutenant Davis. "The Zephyrian delegation is already there. 4 ships, standard diplomatic escort." Jake nodded. Another meeting. Another chance for the aliens to lie to their faces while planning the next attack. His communication officer, Ensign Tom Parker, looked up from his station. "Captain, I have Commander Brooks on the line from the conference room." "Put her through." Lisa Brooks appeared on the screen. She wore her dress uniform and had her diplomatic smile ready. But Jake saw the fire in her eyes. "Jake, I need you to know something before we start this meeting," she said. "I just got word from Admiral Johnson. After tonight, things are going to change." "What kind of change?" "The kind where we stop pretending we care what they think." Lisa's smile got a little sharper. "The president is done being polite." Jake felt something lift from his chest. Finally, the bridge crew was listening. They all knew about Operation Courtesy Call even if they did not know the details. Every person on every human ship had been waiting for this day. "How do you want to play the meeting?" Jake asked. "Same as always. We smile. We listen to their lies. We ask politely for them to stop killing our people. But this time we mean something different when we say please." The screen went dark and Jake turned to his crew. These were good people. They had followed orders for 3 years while watching their friends die. They had kept their mouths shut, while aliens laughed at human weakness. They deserved to know the truth. "Listen up," Jake said. "Tonight Earth stops playing games. The Zephyrians think we are weak because we choose diplomacy over war. They think courtesy means we cannot fight. They are about to learn how wrong they are." Lieutenant Davis looked confused. "Sir, our orders are to maintain peaceful relations." "Our orders are changing," Jake said. "Admiral Johnson is about to give the Zephyrians one last chance to do the right thing. If they refuse, we show them what human courtesy really means." On Earth, President Mary Thompson walked into the emergency session room. The faces around the table were grim. Secretary of Defense Bill Wright, Admiral Johnson, Intelligence Director Carol Stone, and 12 other people who made the hard choices. Report, President Thompson said as she sat down. Kepler 442b is gone, Admiral Johnson said. 12,000 dead. The Zephyrians used kinetic bombardment on civilian targets. No military value whatsoever. They did it to send a message. What message? That they can kill our people whenever they want, and we will not do anything about it. President Thompson was quiet for a long moment. She thought about the families on Kepler 442b. Parents putting their children to bed, never knowing they would not wake up. Teachers planning lessons they would never teach. Farmers planting crops they would never harvest. How long until our assets are in position? She asked. Carol Stone opened a tablet. Operation Courtesy Call can begin in 6 hours. All disguised units are ready. Captain Foster's mining platform is in perfect position. Dr. Carter's research. Teams have full intelligence on Zephyrian military installations. We have been patient for 3 years. We are ready. President Thompson looked around the table. These people had helped her build the greatest military force in human history while making it look like a peaceful exploration program. Now it was time to use it. Send the message to all fleet commanders, she said. Courtesy protocol ends in 72 hours. 3 days passed since the emergency meeting on Earth. Captain Jake Morrison still had not received new orders, but he could feel something building. His crew moved differently now. They walked with purpose instead of resignation. The UES Harmony was traveling the main trade route to Alpha Centauri when Lieutenant Davis called out from her station. Captain, I have multiple contacts on sensors. Large fleet, Zephyrian configuration. Jake moved to the tactical display. 17 ships in battle formation, positioned right across the shipping lane. Their hulls showed the purple and gold markings of the Zephyrian military. They are not supposed to be here, said Ensign Parker. This is neutral space. Send a standard greeting, Jake ordered. Ask them their business. The response came quickly. A face appeared on the main screen that made Jake's skin crawl. Supreme War Leader Kethvor had small black eyes, gray-scaled skin, and too many teeth. He wore the red uniform that meant he had killed at least 1,000 enemies in personal combat. Human vessel, you will stop your engines and prepare for inspection, Kethvor said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. We are conducting exercises to search for contraband weapons. Jake kept his face calm. Supreme War Leader, we are a diplomatic vessel on a peaceful mission. We carry no weapons beyond standard defensive systems. Kethvor's teeth showed in what might have been a smile. All human ships carry contraband. You will submit to boarding, or we will take your ship by force. We respectfully decline inspection, Jake said. Please move your vessels to a safe distance so we can continue our mission. The alien ships began moving into a circle around the Harmony. Jake could see weapon ports opening on their hulls. 17 warships against 1 diplomatic vessel. The Zephyrians were not even trying to hide their intentions anymore. Lisa, please come to the bridge, Jake said into his communicator. Commander Brooks arrived within minutes. She took one look at the tactical display and understood the situation. Her diplomatic smile appeared, but Jake noticed her hand moving to the special console that had been installed last month. Open a channel to all Zephyrian vessels, she said. The communication went out on every frequency. Lisa Brooks looked directly at Supreme War Leader Kethvor and spoke in her most polite voice. This is your final courtesy warning. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences. Kethvor laughed. It sounded like metal scraping against stone. Consequences? From weak humans who beg for peace? You have no weapons, no military, no power. Your courtesy is pathetic weakness. We tried, Jake said quietly to his crew. Then he looked at Lisa. You may proceed, Commander. Lisa pressed 3 buttons on her special console in sequence. Red. Lights began flashing throughout the ship. Jake heard mechanical sounds from deep in the hull, sounds that had never been heard before on a diplomatic mission. All crew, secure for combat operations, Jake announced. The outer hull of the UES Harmony began to change. Panels slid away to reveal weapon systems that had been hidden for 3 years. The clean, white diplomatic ship suddenly bristled with railguns, missile tubes, and energy cannons. What had looked like communication arrays transformed into targeting systems. The ship's true nature was finally visible. Supreme War Leader Kethvor stopped laughing. His small eyes went wide as he stared at the transformed human vessel. "Impossible," he whispered. "You are a peaceful ship." "We were being polite," Jake said. "Our politeness has ended." The 17 Zephyrian warships opened fire at once. Plasma bolts and kinetic rounds filled the space around the Harmony. The human ship's shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the incoming fire. Jake looked at his tactical officer. "Lieutenant Davis, you may return fire. Show them what courtesy means." What happened next took 12 seconds. The UES Harmony had been designed to look like a diplomatic vessel while carrying enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. Every weapon system fired at once. Railgun rounds punched through alien hulls like they were made of paper. Missiles found their targets with perfect accuracy. Energy beams cut enemy ships in half. Supreme War Leader Kethvor's flagship lasted, longest but not by much. His final transmission was a scream of rage and disbelief before his ship became a cloud of expanding debris. When the firing stopped, 17 Zephyrian warships had become 17 fields of wreckage. The UES Harmony floated undamaged in the middle of the destruction. "Damage report," Jake said. "No damage to report, Captain," said Lieutenant Davis. "Shields at 98%. All weapon systems functioning normally." Jake nodded and opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Johnson appeared on the screen immediately. "Report, Captain Morrison. 17 Zephyrian warships destroyed. No human casualties. The diplomatic phase of our mission appears to be over." Admiral Johnson smiled for the first time in months. "Understood. You are cleared to operate under military protocols. Welcome to Operation Courtesy Call." Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Ships that had spent years pretending to be research vessels, mining platforms, and trade haulers were shedding their disguises. Captain Amy Foster watched her asteroid mining operation transform into a Fortress-class battle station that had been hiding in Zephyrian space for 2 years. "All stations, this is Fortress Command," she broadcast to her crew. "Stop pretending to mine rocks. Activate all weapon systems and defensive screens. We have work to do." Dr. Ben Carter was leading what appeared to be a scientific expedition, studying alien plant life on a neutral world. His team of graduate students put down their research equipment and picked up military gear they had kept hidden for months. "Phase 1 is complete," he told his team. "We have mapped every military installation in this sector. Time to move to Phase 2. On Earth, Admiral Johnson stood in the command center watching reports flood in from across human space. Green lights appeared on his tactical display as disguised military assets revealed themselves. Each light represented years of careful planning and patient preparation. "How many ships do we have in position?" President Thompson asked. "Every single exploration vessel was actually a military asset," Johnson said. "Every trade ship, research, station, and diplomatic courier. We have been preparing for this conversation for 5 years." The president looked at the display showing human assets throughout the galaxy. Red dots marked alien military positions. Blue dots showed human ships. There were 3 times as many blue dots as red ones. "Send a message to all human commanders," she said. "Courtesy protocol is suspended. All units are weapons-free if attacked. But remember, we are still the good guys. We defend ourselves and our people. We do not start wars." "What if they start the war?" Admiral Johnson asked. President Thompson looked at the reports of destroyed alien ships already coming in. "Then we finish it." News of 17 destroyed Zephyrian warships spread across the galaxy in hours. Every alien government wanted to know the same thing. How did a human diplomatic vessel destroy an entire battle fleet? The answer came from places no one expected. Captain Amy Foster had been running a simple asteroid mining operation in the Zephyr system for 2 years. Every day, her workers used big machines to break up space rocks and extract valuable metals. The Zephyrians watched her ships come and go without interest. Mining was boring work that weak humans did to make money. Today was different. Amy stood, on the bridge of her command ship and looked at the message from Earth. 3 words that changed everything. Stop mining rocks. All crew, this is Captain Foster, she announced over the ship's communication system. Operation Mining Break is now active. Secure all equipment and prepare for military configuration. The asteroid field around her ships began to move. What looked like floating rocks were actually armored hull sections. They moved together and locked into place around Amy's vessels. The small mining ships combined into something much larger. In 10 minutes, the Foster Mining Company became Fortress Command Station Alpha. Gun ports opened along the massive structure. Shield generators came online. Sensor arrays that had been disguised as ore scanners revealed their true purpose. Amy's mining platform was now the largest military installation in Zephyrian space. It had enough firepower to attack planets and enough armor to survive anything the aliens could throw at it. Communication, send a message to Earth Command, Amy said. Fortress Alpha is operational. We control the high ground. 300 light-years away, Dr. Ben Carter was having lunch with alien researchers on the neutral world of Haven. For 6 months, he had been studying plant life with his team of graduate students. The aliens thought humans were curious about botany and evolution. They were wrong. Ben's communication device buzzed with an encrypted message. He read it twice, then stood up from the lunch table. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to make an announcement, he said to the mixed group of human and alien scientists. My graduate students and I have not been studying plants. The aliens looked confused. Dr. Yithmar, a tall blue researcher from the hegemony, tilted his head sideways. What do you mean, Dr. Carter? Your papers on local flora were very detailed. The papers were real, Ben said, but they were not our primary mission. My team, please reveal your actual credentials. 20 young humans put down their research equipment. They opened cases that contained military scanners, communication gear, and detailed maps of every alien installation within 50 light-years. We are military intelligence, said Lieutenant Kelly Wright, who had been pretending to study tree samples. For 6 months, we have mapped every defense system, government building, and military base in this sector. Dr. Yithmar stepped backward. This is impossible. You are scientists. We are soldiers, Ben said. Good soldiers who happen to know a lot about botany. Our cultural exchange program was really a reconnaissance mission. Ben activated a small device that sent a signal to human ships throughout the sector. Within hours, every alien government would know that their most secret facilities had been under observation for months. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Supreme Chancellor Vectar called an emergency meeting of the Alliance Council. Representatives from 4 different alien species gathered in the Great Hall, all talking at once. How many human ships are in our territory? Demanded General Zixaloth of the hegemony military. We do not know, admitted Intelligence Director Porthwin. Every human vessel we catalogued as civilian appears to have been military. The mining operations, military bases, the research expeditions, spy missions, the trade convoys, weapons, platforms. Supreme Chancellor Vectar felt a cold fear growing in his chest. How long have they been preparing for war? Based on the positioning of their assets, at least 5 years, said Director Porthwin. Maybe longer. Every human ship in Alliance space was part of their military plan. The council chamber fell silent. 5 years of preparation while pretending to be peaceful. 5 years of moving military assets into position while talking about friendship and cooperation. Send a message to all Alliance fleets, Vectar ordered. Find every human ship and destroy it before they can coordinate an attack. But it was too late for that. Admiral Pete Johnson stood in Earth's command center watching his plan unfold perfectly. Green lights appeared on the tactical display as human assets revealed themselves across the galaxy. Captain Julie Adams had been running medical supplies to plague-stricken worlds for 18 months. Her ships carried vaccines, food, and emergency equipment to help suffering populations. Every alien government praised human generosity and kindness. Today, Julie's medical supply convoy dropped its outer hull panels. Underneath the cargo containers were weapon systems that could destroy space stations. Her ships had been using humanitarian Missions to position strategic assets in neutral space. Medical Convoy 7 to Earth Command, Julie reported. We are in position above the Zephyrian industrial moon, ready to begin surgical operations. Colonel Ryan Hayes had been managing Earth's cultural exchange program for 3 years. Human volunteers lived with alien families, learned their languages, and participated in their communities. The aliens thought it was wonderful that humans wanted to understand other cultures. Ryan's volunteers were really intelligence operatives. They had been mapping government buildings, military installations, and communication networks from the inside. Now they were ready to act. All cultural exchange teams, this is Colonel Hayes, he broadcast on encrypted channels. Begin information. Gathering Phase 2. We need complete intelligence on military response capabilities. In the Zephyrian capital city, Sarah Kim had been teaching human literature to alien students for 2 years. Her students loved learning about Earth poetry and stories. They had no idea she was really a military communications specialist. Sarah activated equipment hidden in her apartment. Within minutes, she was listening to every military transmission in the planetary defense network. Earth Command, this is Teacher 6, she reported. I have access to their entire communication grid. They are panicking. President Mary Thompson received reports from around the galaxy. Operation Courtesy Call was working exactly as planned. Humanity's true military presence was being revealed piece by piece, and the aliens were discovering they had been surrounded for years. What is our current force ratio? She asked Admiral Johnson. In terms of ships, we outnumber the Alliance, 3-1. In terms of strategic positioning, we control the high ground in every major system. They cannot move a fleet without us knowing about it. Casualties? Minimal. Most alien forces are too surprised to mount effective resistance. They thought they were fighting a handful of human ships. They are discovering they are facing the largest military force in the galaxy. President Thompson looked at the tactical display. Blue dots representing human assets were everywhere. The aliens had been so focused on human weakness that they never noticed human strength building around them. Send a message to every government in the Alliance, she said. Tell them we want to talk. President Mary Thompson stood before the largest communication array on Earth. Her message would reach every corner of the galaxy, every government, every military leader, and every civilian who had access to galactic news networks. She wore a simple black suit, no military decorations, no weapons, no signs of power except for the small Earth flag pin on her collar. She looked like any politician making a routine announcement. She was about to deliver the most important message in galactic history. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, her voice calm and clear. I am Mary Thompson, President of Earth and representative of humanity. Today I speak not just to governments and military leaders, but to every person who values peace and justice. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Supreme Chancellor Vectar watched the broadcast with growing fear. Around him, his advisors whispered about the human ships that had appeared in their space, the weapons platforms that had been hiding as mining operations, and the intelligence network that had been watching them for years. For 3 years, humanity has pursued peaceful solutions to conflicts in this galaxy. President Thompson continued. We have endured 37 direct attacks on our civilian populations. We have lost 847,000 citizens to unprovoked violence. We have maintained diplomatic courtesy while our people died. The president paused and looked directly into the camera. Our patience has limits. Colonel Ryan Hayes sat in his command center on Earth, watching intelligence reports flow in from around the galaxy. His cultural exchange operatives were sending detailed information about alien military capabilities, government structures, and defensive positions. Status report, he said to his communications officer. We have assets in position throughout Alliance space, Lieutenant Mark Davis reported. Every major government facility, military installation, and communication hub is under observation. The aliens have no idea how deep our network goes. Ryan nodded. The cultural exchange program had been his idea 5 years ago. Send human volunteers to live with alien families, learn their languages, and study their customs. Everyone thought it was a wonderful way to build understanding between species. Nobody suspected that every volunteer was a trained intelligence operative. On the distant world of Kepler 186f, Lisa Brown had been teaching alien children to read human books for 2 years. Her students loved her stories about Earth animals and human adventures. Their parents invited her to family dinners and holiday celebrations. Lisa activated her hidden communication equipment and began transmitting detailed maps of the planetary defense network. She knew the location of every weapons platform, every shield generator, and every military command post. "Cultural exchange team, 12 to Earth Command," she reported. "Complete intelligence package ready for transmission. They trust me completely." President Thompson's broadcast continued. "You have 72 hours to cease all hostile actions against human civilians and begin negotiations for reparations. This is not a request. This is not a negotiation. This is your final courtesy warning." The camera pulled back to show a tactical display behind the president. Thousands of blue dots appeared on the galactic map, each one representing a human military asset. "Let me be clear about our current situation," the president said. "Every human exploration vessel in your space is a military ship. Every research station is a weapons platform. Every trade convoy is a battle group. Every cultural exchange volunteer is a trained operative. We have been preparing for this conversation for 5 years." Supreme Chancellor Vectar turned to his military advisor. "How many human ships are actually in Alliance space?" General Korthmax looked at his datapad with shaking hands. "Based on what we are seeing now, approximately 3,000 vessels. We previously thought there were fewer than 200. 3,000? Vectar's voice cracked. "Where did they come from?" "They were always there," the general admitted. "We just did not know what they were." Captain Julie Adams received new orders while her medical convoy orbited the Zephyrian industrial moon. For 18 months, she had been delivering vaccines and medical supplies to communities affected by the recent plague outbreak. The aliens praised human generosity and kindness. "All medical teams, this is Captain Adams," she announced to her fleet. "Drop humanitarian protocol. Activate military configuration." The cargo containers on her ships opened like flower petals. Inside were not medical supplies but weapon systems designed to disable industrial facilities without harming civilian populations. Julie's humanitarian mission had positioned her perfectly to control the moon's manufacturing centers. "Earth Command, this is Medical Fleet 7, she reported. "We are in position to shut down 60% of Zephyrian industrial production, awaiting orders." Dr. Ben Carter's team on Haven had finished their intelligence gathering. What the aliens thought was a botanical research expedition had really been a complete survey of defensive capabilities throughout the neutral zone. "We have detailed plans of every fortification within 50 light years," he reported to his team. "Defensive positions, weapon ranges, shield generators, and supply lines. The aliens shared everything with us because they thought we were harmless scientists." His communication officer, Sergeant Kevin Walsh, looked up from his console. "Sir, we are receiving surrender offers from 3 different governments. They want to negotiate before the 72-hour deadline." Ben smiled. "Forward all communications to Earth Command. We are not authorized to accept surrenders." On Earth, Admiral Pete Johnson stood in the war room watching the alien response to President Thompson's ultimatum. Some governments were calling for immediate military action. Others were trying to open diplomatic channels. A few were already moving their fleets away from human space. "Intelligence assessment?" he asked Director Carol Stone. "Complete confusion," she replied. "They know they are outgunned and surrounded, but they do not understand how we did it. Some of them still think this is a bluff. What about the Zephyrians? Supreme Chancellor Vectar is calling for total war. He believes human courtesy is still weakness, even after seeing our military capabilities." Admiral Johnson looked at the tactical display. Human assets were positioned throughout the galaxy like pieces on a chessboard. Every major alien world was within range of human weapons. Every supply line could be cut. Every communication network could be compromised. "What happens if they refuse the ultimatum?" asked General Robert King. "Then we show them what happens when human courtesy ends," Johnson replied. President Thompson's broadcast reached its conclusion. We have spent decades building these capabilities in secret because we hoped we would never need them. We maintained the pretense of weakness because we preferred cooperation to conquest. You mistook our courtesy for fragility. She stepped closer to the camera. For 72 hours, we will continue to offer peace. We will accept surrender. We will negotiate reparations for the lives you have taken. We will show mercy to those who show wisdom. The president's expression hardened. After 72 hours, we will show you what humanity looks like when we stop being polite. We will demonstrate why courtesy was never weakness. It was mercy. The broadcast ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. Supreme Chancellor Vector stood before his council and made the decision that would determine the fate of his species. We do not negotiate with humans, he declared. We are warriors. We do not bow to threats from weak creatures who play games with toys. His military advisor tried to speak. Chancellor, perhaps we should consider their offer. No. Vector slammed his hand on the table. We will crush this pathetic bluff. Order all fleets to attack human positions immediately. Show them what real warriors can do. The countdown began. 72 hours until courtesy ended, and the galaxy learned what lay beneath humanity's polite exterior. The 72-hour deadline ended at exactly 12 GA's Galactic Standard Time. Admiral Pete Johnson stood in Earth's command center and watched the final seconds count down on the main display. Time, announced Colonel Ryan Hayes. Any response? From the Zephyrian Alliance? Admiral Johnson asked. Supreme Chancellor Vector sent his answer 30 minutes ago, said Communications Officer Lieutenant Sarah Wells. He refuses all terms. He called our ultimatum a pathetic bluff from weak creatures. Admiral Johnson nodded slowly. He had hoped the aliens would be smart enough to accept peace. He was not surprised they chose war instead. Send the message to all human forces, he ordered. Courtesy protocol is terminated. All units are weapons-free. Show them what mercy looks like when it ends. Captain Jake Morrison received the order while his ship patrolled near the Zephyrian border. The UES Harmony had been joined by 12 other vessels that had stopped pretending to be civilian ships. His small diplomatic fleet was now revealed, as a battle group with enough firepower to level cities. All ships, this is Morrison, he broadcast to his fleet. You heard the order. The Zephyrians chose war over peace. Make sure they understand what that choice means. The first target was the Zephyrian home fleet, 2,000 warships that Supreme Chancellor Vector had assembled to crush what he thought was a human bluff. The massive fleet hung in space near their homeworld, ready to destroy any human ship that dared to challenge them. Captain Sue Miller had been running agricultural survey missions in the outer system for 8 months. The Zephyrians ignored her small ships because farming equipment was not threatening. They never bothered to scan her vessels closely. That was their mistake. Agricultural survey team to all units, Sue announced. Drop the Farming Act. Time to harvest something different. Her 14 ships transformed in minutes. What looked like seed dispensers became missile launchers. Crop analyzers revealed themselves as targeting computers. Irrigation equipment turned into energy weapons. Sue's agricultural fleet had been positioned perfectly to attack the Zephyrian home fleet from behind. The aliens had focused all their attention forward, watching for human ships from the direction of Earth. Begin the harvest, Sue ordered. The battle lasted 14 minutes. Sue's ships hit the Zephyrian fleet from an unexpected direction while Captain Morrison's diplomatic vessels attacked from the front. The aliens found themselves caught between two forces that had appeared from nowhere. Zephyrian warships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Their shields collapsed under weapons that were far more powerful than anything humans were supposed to possess. Ship after ship vanished in clouds of superheated metal and atmosphere. Supreme Chancellor Vector watched his mighty fleet die from his command ship. How is this possible? He screamed at his tactical officer. Where did those ships come from? The Ra agricultural vessels, Supreme Chancellor. The officer replied with terror in his voice. They were not farming ships. They were weapons platforms. Vector stared at the tactical display as his fleet indicators disappeared one by one. 2,000 warships reduced to wreckage in less than 15 minutes. Retreat, he ordered. All remaining ships fall back to the homeworld defense grid. But there was nowhere to run. Captain Amy Foster's mining platform had been watching from the asteroid belt for 2 years. Fortress Command Station Alpha moved out of hiding and blocked the escape route with enough firepower to stop an entire invasion fleet. "This is Captain Foster to all Zephyrian vessels," she broadcast. "You are surrounded. Surrender now or join your friends in the scrapyard." The remaining Zephyrian ships tried to fight. It was like throwing rocks at a mountain. Amy's fortress platform had been designed to defend against massive attacks. The surviving alien ships barely scratched her shields. "End this," Amy ordered her weapons officers. The last of the Zephyrian home fleet vanished in explosions that lit up the night sky on 3 different worlds. But the home fleet was just the beginning. Major Kevin Brown had spent 2 years setting up terraforming equipment throughout Zephyrian space. His machines were supposed to make dead worlds suitable for life. The aliens thought it was wonderful that humans wanted to help expand habitable territory. Kevin's terraforming equipment had really been siege weapons, planet crackers, atmosphere processors, and gravity manipulators that could turn worlds into weapons. "Terraforming team to Earth Command," Kevin reported. "We are in position around 47 Zephyrian worlds, ready to begin environmental modification." "Begin the demonstration," Admiral Johnson replied. "Target military installations. Only avoid civilian casualties." Kevin activated his equipment around the Zephyrian military world of Kethtar Prime. The planet held the Alliance's largest weapons factory, 3 major shipyards, and the military academy where Zephyrian officers trained. The terraforming machines created focused earthquakes that collapsed every military building on the planet. The weapons factories crumbled into rubble. The shipyards sank into the ground. The military academy became a crater. Not a single civilian was harmed, but Zephyrian military power on Kethtar Prime ceased to exist in 20 minutes. "Next target," Kevin announced. Similar attacks happened across Zephyrian space. Dr. Ben Carter's research teams revealed their true purpose as they systematically dismantled alien communication networks. Every spy satellite, every military relay, and every command bunker that his people had carefully mapped during their scientific missions. "This is Dr. Carter to Zephyrian Command," he broadcast on their emergency frequencies. "Your communication grid no longer exists. Your fleets cannot coordinate. Your commanders cannot give orders. You are fighting blind." Captain Julie Adams moved her medical convoy into position above the Zephyrian industrial moon. For 18 months, the aliens had welcomed her humanitarian missions. They never suspected her supply ships carried weapons designed for surgical strikes. "Medical Team 7 to target zone," she announced. "Beginning surgical procedure." Her weapons disabled every factory, power plant, and manufacturing center on the moon without harming a single worker. The Zephyrians lost 60% of their industrial capacity in 1 hour. "Patient is stable," Julie reported. "No vital signs threatened, but the ability to build weapons has been removed." On Earth, President Mary Thompson watched the reports flood in. Human forces were systematically dismantling Zephyrian military power while carefully avoiding civilian targets. It was not a war of conquest. It was a surgical demonstration of overwhelming superiority. "Casualty reports?" she asked Admiral Johnson. "Zephyrian military losses are complete in 12 systems. Their home fleet no longer exists. Their industrial capacity is reduced by 70%. Their communication network is offline." "Human casualties?" "None," President Thompson nodded. "Send a message to any surviving Zephyrian commanders. Tell them we are still willing to accept their surrender." Supreme Chancellor Vectar received the message while hiding in his bunker deep beneath the capital city. His mighty alliance had been destroyed in less than 6 hours. His fleets were gone. His factories were silent. His communication system was dead. A single human message appeared on his personal screen. "This is President Thompson of Earth. Your military forces have been neutralized. Your ability to threaten human civilians no longer exists. We offer you one final chance to surrender with dignity. Respond within 1 hour, or we will assume you prefer total defeat." Vector stared at the message for a long time. His empire was finished. His people were defenseless. The humans had been playing a game he never understood, and now the game was over. He reached for the communication device to send his reply. 6 months after the Zephyrian Alliance surrendered, the galaxy had become a very different place. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony and watched peaceful traffic move through what used to be a war zone. Trade ships from a dozen different species traveled the roads that had once been battlefields. No one attacked them. No one demanded bribes or protection money. Pirates had learned that human patrol ships were not as defenseless as they looked. "Status report," Jake said to his tactical officer. "All shipping lanes clear, Captain," Lieutenant Amy Davis reported. 3 cargo convoys have requested escort through the outer rim. Standard protection duty. Jake nodded. Protection duty was much better than diplomatic missions where he had to smile while people lied to his face. Now, when he asked other ships to follow safety regulations, they listened the first time. His communication officer looked up from her console. "Captain, we have a priority message from Earth Command." "Put it through." Admiral Pete Johnson appeared on the main screen. He looked relaxed for the first time in years. The stress lines around his eyes had started to fade. "Jake, I have new orders for you," the Admiral said. "The Hegemony Council wants to discuss trade agreements with Earth. They are offering exclusive mining rights in the Vega system in exchange for human protection of their merchant fleets." "What kind of protection do they need?" "The usual kind. Pirates who think alien cargo ships are easy targets. Show them a few human weapons and they usually decide to find a different job." Jake smiled. "We can handle that, sir. How are things going with the War Crimes Tribunal?" Admiral Johnson's expression grew serious. Supreme Chancellor Vector was found guilty on all charges: genocide, war crimes, attacking civilian targets. The evidence was overwhelming. What was his sentence? Life imprisonment on a human prison world. He will spend the rest of his days thinking about the 800,000 people he killed. The War Crimes Tribunal had been President Mary Thompson's idea. Instead of executing the Zephyrian leaders, she wanted them to face justice in front of the entire galaxy. Every species sent representatives to watch as the evidence was presented. The trial lasted 3 months. Survivors from attacked colonies told their stories. Families of dead civilians shared their grief. The galaxy learned exactly what the Zephyrian Alliance had done to innocent people. No one could claim they did not know. No one could say the punishment was unfair. Commander Lisa Brooks no longer needed to smile while listening to obvious lies. She had been promoted to Ambassador Brooks and given the job of negotiating with species that actually wanted peace. The TU Centauri Republic has agreed to our terms, she reported to President Thompson during their weekly meeting. Full reparations to families of victims, joint patrols of trade routes, and technology sharing agreements. What about the others? The Hegemony Council is eager to cooperate. The Stellar Federation wants to sign a mutual defense treaty. Even some of the former Alliance worlds are asking to join our protection network. President Thompson looked at the galactic map on her office wall. Green zones marked areas under human protection. Yellow zones showed neutral space that was now safe for travel. Red zones were the few remaining pirate strongholds that would be dealt with eventually. Any problems? Minor ones, Lisa said. Some alien governments are still nervous about human military capabilities. They cooperate because they have to, not because they want to. Fear is better than war, the president replied. But respect is better than fear. Keep working on that. Dr. Ben Carter had been promoted to Director of Galactic Intelligence. His office was much nicer than the field tent he used to work from, but he missed the simplicity of pretending to study plants. Intelligence summary? President Thompson asked. During the security briefing. The galaxy is more peaceful than it has been in 50 years, Ben reported. Piracy is down 80%. Border conflicts have dropped to almost zero. Trade volume has increased by 300%. Why the increase in trade? Merchants know human ships will protect them. A cargo convoy with human escort has never been successfully attacked. Word gets around. Any new threats? Ben shook his head. The remaining hostile governments are too small to matter. Everyone else wants to be on our good side. The only real problem is managing all the cooperation requests we are getting. Captain Amy Foster still commanded Fortress Alpha, but now it served as a peaceful research station instead of a hidden weapons platform. Scientists from across the galaxy came to study human technology and share their own discoveries. We have made some interesting developments, she reported to Earth Command. The Hegemony Council shared their gravity manipulation technology. The Centauri Republic gave us their quantum communication systems. Combined with our own research, we might be able to build ships that can cross the galaxy in days instead of months. Admiral Johnson was interested. What do they want in return? Protection from pirates and access to our medical technology. Fair trade, in my opinion. Approved. Keep developing those new ships. The galaxy is bigger than we thought, and there might be other hostile species out there. Captain Julie Adams had returned to her medical missions, but now they were truly humanitarian. No more hiding weapons under medical supplies. Her ships carried real vaccines, real food, and real emergency equipment to worlds that needed help. We delivered supplies to the Zephyrian refugee camps this week, she reported. The people there are grateful for the aid. Their children are learning to read using human educational materials. Any problems with former Alliance worlds? Some resentment from military families, but the civilians understand that we only targeted combatants. They know we could have done much worse. Colonel Ryan Hayes had expanded the cultural exchange program into something completely honest. Human volunteers still lived with alien families and learned their languages, but now everyone knew they were military personnel. Cultural exchange report, he announced during the staff meeting. We have volunteers placed with 47 different species. They are building genuine friendships and gathering intelligence about potential threats. The intelligence gathering is not secret anymore? No need for secrets. Host families know our people are soldiers, but they welcome them anyway. Turns out aliens prefer honest soldiers to hidden spies. President Thompson stood in her office and looked out at the view of Earth. The planet looked the same as it had 6 months ago, but everything else had changed. Human ships moved freely through space that used to be dangerous. Human colonies were expanding without fear of attack. Her communication device buzzed with an incoming message. She read it and smiled. Admiral Johnson, please come to my office, she said. Johnson arrived within minutes. What is it, Madam President? We just received a message from the far edge of the galaxy. A species called the Andromedans wants to meet with us. They say they have been watching the changes in this sector, and they are impressed with how we handle conflicts. First contact with a completely new species. Apparently they have been avoiding this part of the galaxy because of all the fighting. Now that things are peaceful, they want to establish relations. Admiral Johnson thought about that. Do we know anything about them? Only that they have ships larger than anything we have ever seen and technology that makes ours look primitive, but they seem friendly. How do you want to handle it? President Thompson looked at the galactic map. Send Captain Morrison. He is good at first impressions and his ship is definitely not threatening looking. Should we prepare for possible conflict? Always. But let us hope we can keep our weapons hidden for a while longer. Courtesy worked so well the first time. Admiral, Johnson smiled. Yes, Madam President. Let us see if we can make some new friends. Outside Earth's atmosphere, human ships moved through space in formations that looked like peaceful patrols, but could become deadly battle groups in minutes. The galaxy had learned to respect human courtesy. It was a lesson that would not be forgotten. The stars looked the same as they always had, but now they shone on a universe where being polite was no longer mistaken for being weak. Humanity had taught the galaxy a simple truth. Courtesy was a choice, not a weakness, and choices could always be changed.